Hey everyone, it's Mike Bru again with Life Starts with Food Health Coaching. I am here with somebody that I really look up to. Hey everyone, it's Mike Bru again. Got my volume on. That's the fun about live stuff, is my volume was on my phone there. A guy that I really respect and really look up to, Dr. Kevin Stock. I found Kevin when I was listening to podcasts about the carnivore diet and lifestyle. And as much as you have to say about that, that's one tiny part of you. And you are a dentist. I wrote down in the description, you're a dentist that's not very good at doing one thing. You're very good at doing a lot of things. You're an author, a speaker, a podcaster, a health educator, an inventor, which that's a really cool one. Former bodybuilder. And believe me, like, you guys can just see shoulders up. Kevin is jacked. So, and then future artist. I resonated with you when I first heard you on these podcasts, but what really got me was when I signed up for your Saturday 7 weekly email. Every single week, there's something on there that really just hits me, and I know that I knew we were supposed to talk at some point. So yeah. I just started emailing back and forth with you, and you've been incredibly gracious with your time. So Kevin, say hi.
Hey, well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for reading the newsletter. I appreciate it. It's grown a lot, and it's really just kind of been a passion project. And it's something that, thank you for the nice introduction. When you're reading it, I'm like, man, I seem like I'm just like a total scatterbrain doing this and that, which is kind of true. And it's something we can talk about because, once I finally kind of embraced that, I got much happier because I felt like I was, so unfocused, or if I was trying to do just one thing, I was very unhappy. And so I fill my life with a lot of different things, and all these different things help, me live a life that, that I can enjoy. Because the one track mind, which I think is great for a lot of people, just, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, no, I am the same way. I've always felt like, and I've heard you say this in videos, you felt like something was wrong with you. You felt guilty that you didn't want to do one thing all day, and that you didn't feel right with the 9 to 5. It felt like a trap more than anything. Yeah.
So last year I was invited to give a lecture at a university, and kind of what I talked about was, and these were college students who were, trying to figure out what career to go into and whatnot. And it's something I struggled a lot when I was their age. I remember I had a lot of anxiety, in college, thinking like, what do I want to do? I'm 18, 19, 20, 21, don't really know what I want to do the rest of my life. And I was into health since I was junior high, since I was very young. I was very much into health, really into fitness, trying to get in shape because I was an overweight kid. And so when I was in college, I was like, well, maybe something in the health field, maybe go, study to be a physician. And it turned, through some, investigation, I thought maybe dentist would be a better fit. But I remember I was in dental school, and it was my first year of dental school. It might have been the first semester. And it kind of like hit me. I'm like, I could enjoy doing dentistry, but it's like, if I have to like drill and fill 9 to 5, 5 days a week for 40 years, like that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And what took me longer to figure out was, it wasn't just dentistry that I didn't want to do for a whole career, 9 to 5 all the time. It's like anything. I didn't want to do anything that much. There was so much I wanted to do, but I want to do all these things, not 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 40 years. So yeah, that's a little little background info.
Yeah, I mean, it just really does. It gives me anxiety now saying 40 days a week, 9 to 5 in the same building, in the same office, same people, like that messes with me so bad. So
yeah, and it's like with dental school, it's very much like all encompassing. Although I did start kind of like a side business while I was in dental school. But like my mindset is like, okay, I can get through this for 4 years, no big deal. But when you start saying, okay, I'm gonna do this the rest of my life, and you're like, that is what I'm staking my life on. Like, this is what my life is gonna be. And that's a little bit scarier, because I'm always like, I can do something for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. But then when you start thinking like, man, this is a life decision. You want to get those right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And how the heck is it? Even talking to a counselor, how are they supposed to help you understand what you're supposed to do? Because like everything they ever told me was, yes, you should be in management somehow. What?
Yeah.
So how do you get to management? Do you like? They don't teach you how to like, shake the right hands and kiss up to the right people. They don't teach any of that. So I think what they got from that was that I need to be in some kind of leadership capacity, in some kind of teaching capacity. And that's all I could figure out now. that might have been it.
I think counselors have a hard job because, they're trying to give advice to young people. And I think counselors, parents, they all want the best for kids to make decisions that's going to make them happy. But, the reality, the adult reality is you got to make money. And so if you want to make money, there's certain paths that you're like, okay, if I go down this path, I can make money, right?
Yeah.
And so they try and steer people down certain paths that, might fit their personalities. But a personality like mine, which, I thought it was kind of unique, which I actually don't think I think it's more common than it is, where people do have different interests and they don't want to sit in one desk, sit their butt in one chair for 8 hours every day on some spreadsheet or whatever. It's not like, it doesn't seem actually very natural to do that. So I don't think I'm that unusual where I have many different interests and things I want to pursue. But when you're that divided as I am, it can be challenging to make money, because then you're like, well, I'm pretty much unemployable. No one wants to employ me. I'm like, all right, I'll work for, 1-2 hours a day, or actually I do have a job now that does, cater to that. I do pediatric dentistry twice a week throughout the school year. So it's actually very limited capacity right now, but it actually enables me to pay all the bills that I need to pay, and I can do all these other things on the side. Not everyone is fortunate like that, but yeah.
So my side gig is like delivering food still. As a health coach, I'm delivering unhealthy food, which is a big irony in my life, which I love, because I'm a believer that, God put me here to smile at people too, not just to worry about their health. So I'm handing them food that I don't think they should be eating, but I'm changing their day with a smile. So that's a big part of my life there too. But yeah, as soon as I get a doc, like I work for a doctor, and he's like, we need to start having you in here 3 days a week. And I'm just like, no, like, I just can't. So something that I really like about your newsletter just recently, you generally have a good quote, but you had one that really, it teared me up, and I'm going to have you recite it the best you can. It was about your younger you. I hope it was you that had it. It was your younger you. Success is measuring success is younger you looking at older you. Was that you that I read that in your email?
So every week for people that are tuning in, I do have a quote of the week, something that I've come across or whatever that really, kind of, touched me or spoke to me that week. And I'm not entirely 100% sure who quote that is that you're mentioning right there. But yeah, that was in the newsletter. And it's basically the only person that should be judging you is, this younger you that looks up and says, are you, I think it was Talib, he's an author who did that quote, but it's like the younger you should be the one judging the present you, meaning like if you were a kid and you're still living in those dreams and fantasies before society has beaten you down into conformity. If you were that younger kid, would you be proud of what you're doing today and where you are right now? Yeah. And yeah, I think it is Talib that whose quote that was. Yeah.
And I actually, that was, this doesn't happen with quotes for me, but I teared up when I read that one because it was just timely for me. I was in a lot of stress, and I thought about it, and I thought, man, younger me would be so proud that he's not driven only by money anymore, that he doesn't care. Like, I don't care about money. And yeah, I have a wife with a great job, but even without that, if I am right now where I'm at, it just doesn't mean the same to me as other things do. So that really helped me a lot right then. But a quote I heard when I was snooping around in you last night was, and this is from somebody else again, but the 3 most addictive things in this world are heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly salary.
Yeah.
I thought that's always been my fear, was getting stuck in a job.
Yeah, and I think what happens with a lot of people is, they get trapped pretty early. Actually, the trap happens before you even get a job. A lot of times when you go to college, you get yourself in debt, and then you have to get a job to start paying off these bills. So that trap happens. And then if you get that job, then you're like, okay, I have a little extra money, so I'm going to upgrade my house, upgrade my lifestyle. And then you get to a point where it's like, even if you're tired of that job, you hate it, you have this passion you want to do, but that is going to, not going to be able to finance your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, you're trapped. And, it's a trap. I was, lucky to try. I got into it. But I had tons of debt from dental school. I had $250,000 in debt. But lucky enough that I've lived very frugally ever since I graduated, which was in 2013, so 7 years ago, and have a very low burn rate. That's a business term. Like my monthly burn rate to eat and live and have a roof over my house is very low, so I can just work 2 days a week or less as a dentist doing pediatric dentistry. That's going to cover all that. So. Which is, to me, it's a huge, without that, there's a huge amount of stress that comes into these other activities that I love. The pressure to make money. But the fact that I have, something I can fall back on that's going to cover myself is, is a nice, kind of thing to have that not everyone can have. But it is nice to have something like that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's take that and just roll right into what we really want to talk about today, which is living a life by design, not by default, which is what we've been talking about, this 9-to-5 default, doing what you're supposed to do. Like, who says what we're supposed to do? And that talk you mentioned, which you have posted both on your website, kevinstock.io, and on your book's website, which we'll share that all later, and it's all in the description below. But a lot of that talk was about how to design what you want instead of just going with the flow and letting life push you, right?
Yeah, I think, so when I graduated dental school, I started my own private practice, and it was a very unique practice. It was, exclusively dental sleep medicine. So I was treating obstructive sleep apnea and sleep disordered breathing, which is kind of a unique area of dentistry. But anyways, I remember, so that was kind of a crazy thing to do in the first. I don't know if anyone had ever done that. But anyways, I was sitting in my office, which is this, I can't even paint you the picture of this office. It's in like a corporate. It was very low cost. I did this on like basically a shoestring budget. But anyways, I'm sitting there and, I'm waiting for a patient to come in. I think they didn't show up. So then I got an extra half hour or whatever just to sit and, think about things. And it's a question I think I asked myself prior to that, but it really hit me then was, if you could do anything right now, would you be sitting in this office and treating patients? And the answer is, it's like I didn't dislike that. I was actually, there's an area of dentistry and health that I'm actually very much interested in and I enjoy. Kind of like we were talking about it. Do I want to do that every day, day in and day out for the rest of my life? And so I asked myself this question: would I rather be here or somewhere else doing something else? And if I could do anything, what would I do? And if money was no object, what are the things that I would do? Like, how would I structure my day? How would I structure my life? What are the activities I would do? And I think if people, truthfully ask that question, like most people would say, no, this is not what I would be doing with my life right now.
Yeah.
If I could not go to that job and just, go sit on a beach or go travel here or go do this or go do that, people would rather do other things. And so, the question then becomes is like, okay, why aren't you designing that? Why aren't you living that life that you would rather live? And if you take that question further and further, I mean, the bottom line is there's like one or two answers. One is like, you don't believe it's possible. Like, like, okay, that life, I would love to live it, but it's just totally impossible. And then the second thing, the possibility is just afraid to go for it. Okay. Like that's the biggest thing. You're like, okay, I built this life that I have. It's not what I want, but it's okay. And I'm afraid of going for this life that I would really love because I don't want to lose what I have.
Yeah.
And so those are kind of the two reasons I think people don't live a life that they really want. And if people, if I ask someone that question, I said, I don't believe it's possible. What I would challenge them, because it's something I've done a lot growing up, is I've read a lot of biographies, and a lot of biographies of very successful people who did not start off successful, started off in like the worst circumstances ever, and then they rise to the heights of, the highest heights that you could imagine.
Yeah.
And I asked myself, I'm like, look, if they did from these circumstances, like almost no one has an excuse, right? Yeah. And you can see, you can find examples like this in every single field, in every, so anything that someone says, I'd like to do this, but it's impossible. You can find someone else who had worse circumstances and then went and did it. So then to me, it really comes down to fear. And I totally understand it. You don't want to lose what you've worked your whole life to get to. Because if you go for this one life and you don't get it, and you don't want to lose what you got. And I get it. But I think, if someone says, it is fear that's holding me back, well, then all you got to do is really conquer that fear. And I think the way to do that is to, build belief that it is possible to go to do what you want to do. And there's ways to negate that fear and to go and pursue a life that you would really love living, in a way that you don't have to be like Mr. Courageous or anything like that. It's just, it can be like we're talking about, you can design this life so that it can become your reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's been an appropriate time to talk about this. One of the ways that you show how that, okay, so you're not Van Gogh, but you wanted to learn to draw. And you've never drawn in your life, really, from what I could understand.
Or what you could see in the before picture.
My goodness, man. So I'm going to bring this up right now. Let's do this here. All right. So that's your Facebook page here. So
yep.
This is your self-portrait. I'm actually going to bring this to full screen here. So this is your self-portrait.
And it's worth saying, I spent like a good amount of time on this self-portrait. I was like, I tried to do a legit job.
I get it, because I've tried to draw before. My brother's amazing. He's one of those natural artists that you talk about. Yeah. And so this is day one, and your goal was to draw 5 minutes a day or more for 5 days a week for a year, right? So that's day one. Holy cow, that's November, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that's November. Yeah.
Jeez.
And if you scroll down, so my nephew James, he was the first picture I drew.
This one right here?
So I drew that. So I started that in January, finished it at the end of January. And I remember after I drew that, I was like, I felt kind of good about myself. I was like, man, that's not too bad. Like,
yeah, right.
And then he was the last picture I drew at the end of the year as well. And you could see it, I spent probably about the same amount of time on both portraits.
Man.
So pretty significant like improvement. And like you said, it was just the goal, the 2019 challenge was I was going to spend at least 5 minutes, 5 days a week. So I could take 2 days off a week. And I only had to spend 5 minutes a day. If I did 5 minutes, I could say, okay, put it away. Oftentimes I would do 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, but the minimum was 5 minutes. And this goes back to what I was just telling you about when I was in that office, in my office, thinking about what are some of the things I would do if I had all the money, money was no object, I had all the time in the world. Some of the things I'd like to do is like, I'd like to be able to draw, it's kind of, it's something that's like interests me. I'd like to be able to do it. I have no ability, natural drawing ability, but something I'd like. And so I was like, okay, so I made that a 2019 challenge and look, and it's like, I'm not really special, like in any really capacity at all. And so it's like, if I could do that, it's proof that like pretty much anyone can learn to draw.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of natural ability. Now there is like things that I think I am good at is finding good instruction. Because I've self-educated so much where I can identify someone who is a good teacher and it's going to help me progress versus something that's maybe a little bit more fluff and when I'm spinning my wheels. So I've learned to learn, which is a skill. But besides that, it's like, look, I'm not an artist, but I've learned to draw. I'm not saying I'm an artist now by any stretch of the means, but in 1 year and pretty much not a significant amount of time, pretty significant progress.
Yeah. I think you said you did the math, and that's less than a 40-hour work week. You said.
Yeah, it was like a 40-hour work week. And then, so people that like wanted to learn how to draw, it's like, look, all you have to do is spend, 40 hours because we were talking about natural talent. And one of the things I said in the lecture that after I said, I was like, I actually really like that. It's like natural talent is, it's like a 10-second head start in a marathon, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't have a whole lot of natural talent in any things. So look, I got to do a little extra work for 10 seconds to close that natural talent gap and beyond. And sometimes it's more than that, more than 10 seconds. But like right now I'm working on the 2020 challenge, which is learning how to make music, which is, if for anyone, like it's 100, maybe 1,000 times harder than my last challenge because in it is learning how to sing. And my natural singing ability was less than my natural drawing ability.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I would argue that learning how to sing is more difficult than learning how to draw. But the challenge this year in 2020 was not only learn how to sing, but it's learn how to make music. Mm-hmm. And there's there's a lot that goes into making music. I was kind of naive going into this challenge, but I've got so the challenge was to release one song a month every month this year. So I have we're April 15th. I've already released 3 songs. I'll release a 4th song at the end of the month. And I'm not saying these songs are great, but I have actually kind of surprised myself at how much progress I've made in just 3.5 months.
And I listened to the first one, and I haven't listened to the second 2 yet. I wanted to do that before I got on today, but I didn't get to do that yet. But yeah, just going from you played a video saying that was going to be your next challenge, and you played your vocals from, I think, an Ed Sheeran song or something.
Yeah.
Just that to your first, and you're not doing just like a song. You're doing a music video and everything, and you're writing the song. Are you playing the music?
So that's the challenging thing. I'm composing the music. So like both the melody, the harmony, I'm writing like the drum, like the groove. So yeah. I'm composing the entire thing. And so like learning to sing is very challenging for me because I very no talent at all. Like music theory is more like a left brain thing. So I actually have a good grasp on like music theory. I can learn that pretty fast, but implementing music theory and composing and singing and writing music and making it all gel and turning it into a song is actually there's a lot of moving parts in that.
Oh man, yeah.
There's a lot to it.
And I remember your lyrics were pretty good, and your vocals were rushed. It was like there was too much in each line, and so I'm really excited to see the rest of it and see how that keeps coming out. Because like if you only increase a quarter as good as your drawing increased, you're gonna be doing pretty darn good, man. Like that's no joke, because that like your drawing just that leaps and bounds. It's unbelievable. So and I have a big feeling you've already improved on the whole. I mean, because you're not doing that blows me away. You're not just focusing on the singing. You're focusing on the entire song. That's cool, man. I can't write with anything. I've been singing since I was a kid and can't write anything. I haven't written anything.
Well, I think what's interesting. So this challenge is different than last one in that the last one was there's some really good things about it from like habit creating perspectives of like just making yourself do 5 minutes a day, because then there's no excuse to not do anything. It's like because everyone's got 5 minutes a day, like you can do that.
Yeah.
This one is different where I'm forcing myself to finish a song every month, and I bet you this is where I'm not a musician by any chance, but I know lots of musicians and they've never released any original music ever, and you ask yourself why, and I think a lot of it is it's not easy to like just release a song because I think people are afraid to be a beginner, because when I release the music, people are very nice to me and they're like, it's a good job, you're very courageous to release this. They're not saying it's a great song or anything like this, because it's not, but very many nice comments about like having the courage to release something when you're bad. And to me, I'm like, yeah, I don't want all nasty comments or whatnot. This guy's terrible, et cetera, et cetera. But, I think as a culture, we should be much more tolerant of people being beginners, because everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah.
And because I don't have to release this music. Maybe I should keep it more personal until I get to a degree of acceptability so people's ears aren't burning. But I mean, to me, it's like, why not release something? I like to show people like, look, I'm okay being bad. And that's kind of the whole point of the challenge, is to show, myself and other people that you can go from bad to, not bad in a pretty limited amount of time. But, to give yourself the ability to be a beginner and to be bad and not judge yourself so harshly, I think is things that would really benefit a lot of people, because everyone starts off as a beginner.
Yeah. And that's such an important aspect. And that's something I've learned so much as a health coach is if you can get someone from 6 Mountain Dews a day and 3 bowls of cereal and like jerky, or not jerky, but candy bars, if you can get them to skip out one of those bowls of cereal for a piece of chicken or steak and, take that 6 pops down to 4, that's a huge, huge start. So I'm not the I'm an all or nothing guy, so that's really hard for me as a health coach.
Well, I'm very similar to you in that regard.
Yeah, I will just flip a switch when I know something's not benefiting me. I flip the switch and it happens. But I used to be, I wasn't a heavy child, but I always thought I was heavy. But I did get heavy as soon as sports quit. As soon as I started college, I got up to 220 and just all the muscle dropped, all the fat went on. So I know what it's like to be there, and I know what it's like not to have anything work for me. So the big part of why you're doing these challenges is because you're showing, if you want something in your life, design it. And so you're making accountability for yourself, which is one of your big hacks for designing the life you want, is accountability. And I don't know if you still do this, but I've seen on your Facebook page where you put a cell phone number and an email address. You put everything out there. If someone needs accountability, they can reach out to you. And literally, I don't know how you keep up with that. Like
it's a lot. I do the best I can. Some days and weeks are better than others. But yeah, I like to connect with people. Social media, I think, is great, but it's very, like, I feel like it's very shallow on the surface. And that's why, I put a lot of passion and work into my newsletter, because I get to connect with people on a more personal level, I think at a deeper level, where they can get to know me better. They can respond to emails, and I can message as many people back as I can. A lot of times people are asking for help with diet, and it's an area I'm happy to help people with. But yeah, I put it out there, and the reason I started making these challenges more public is, if we go back to what I was telling you, I was sitting in my dental office, and I was thinking, like, what kind of life would I love to live, and I kind of designed this fairy tale fantasy life that's too good to be possible, doing these things that I have no ability to do, like draw and make music. I designed this basically fairy tale fantasy life, right? When I was sitting there. And what really motivated me at that time was one, yeah, if I could create that life, it'd be awesome. I'd be living this fairy tale dream. But what motivated me even more than actually just living that fairy tale life was proving to myself that it's possible to create it. And so then I was like, because it's like a personal challenge. I'm like, this is a fantasy life, right? By all regards, from where I'm sitting right now, this is 100% impossible to be to doing these things that I want to be able to do, to accomplish these things I want to accomplish. And I'm like, if I am able to do these things, and if I accomplish all these things, that's great. But what really jazzed me the most was, like, can I prove it I want to prove it to myself. Is this actually possible? Because I read all these biographies about these people that do these impossible things.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I don't have an excuse, right? And if I believe that this fairy tale life is possible, theoretically, maybe it seems impossible, but it is possible, I guess.
So possible, right?
Can I do it? And so since then, the last, I don't know how, 4 or 5 years it's been, it's been a journey to prove, can I create this, like, impossible life?
Yeah, that's terrific. For me, what happened to me was every step of the way, I was always so scared to commit because I was scared to be trapped. And what happened was I probably delayed my life a good 6 or 8 years because I was always scared to take that job or to go and do that education in one area, because I thought, oh, if I do that, I have to fulfill that and succeed in that area. I was always too scared to ever think I could pivot.
Right.
And now I'm just, like, for probably 4 years now, 3 years, ever since I got my health coaching certification, it was pretty much, if an opportunity came up and I liked it and it didn't take away from other things, I took it. Yeah. So I worked for Primal Kitchen for like 2.5 years. I loved it. I just went to Whole Foods and pushed food like an Italian grandma. I force fed people and health coached in the moment. Right.
Right.
I work for this doctor now. I do energy medicine. What the heck is that? But it's something that a year ago, you tell me I'm going to work on people's energy and work on the flow in their body, and emotions and stuff. I tell you, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, all right, I'm all in, So, I guess calling it energy medicine's too much, but energy healing, I don't know, energy release, whatever you want to call it. But I stopped scaring myself, and I just leaned into it. And I know at any time I just stop and pivot. So,
I can relate to what you're saying. I feel like we have similar personalities, all or nothing kind of personalities. I'm the kind of person where if I tell someone I'm going to do something and I commit to it, I'm going to follow through, which has been a challenge for me because it would prevent me from committing to things. Because I'm like, if I commit to that, I'm saying yes to that, which means I'm saying no basically to everything else.
For sure.
And so it would scare me. But one of the things I've learned that I think, and it's helped me a lot, is this ability to change your mind. You can pivot. You can change your mind. If you made a bad decision, you could change your mind. And I think there's a fine line between, changing your mind because something is not right for you versus changing your mind because something's hard. If you change your mind just because something's hard and, the going's tough, so you're like, I don't want to do it anymore. That's usually a bad decision. But if you change your mind because it's not right, that's usually a good decision. You're pivoting your way and finding your way. But yeah, so this superpower of being able to commit to something and be able to admit to say, okay, it was wrong, or hey, it was the right decision, and we're going full speed ahead.
And that is a total superpower, and that's that's a phrase I use all the time, is superpowers, right? So that's that is get over the fear, get over the commit, just do the commitment and pivot when you need to. And speaking of making decisions, another quote. I don't care about quotes, but I love them when you send them out. Another quote I heard you say was, if you're between two decisions and one's really easy and one's really hard, always go for the harder one, because chances are you're only thinking of the easy one because it's easy, not because it's the right one.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
And you have like in all the videos and stuff you have listed the people that said these, but I have 2 weekly emails I care about it all. I have more that come in the email box, but it's you and Anthony Gustin, which is I
know Anthony.
Love that guy. And I have other emails that I've liked over the years, but just didn't stick with me all that well. Yours has been consistently like 6 or so months now, and same with Dr. Gustin. I
appreciate it.
I enjoy the both of you so much. If you're okay with now pivoting on to because I would love to talk to you again some other time is all about the carnivore diet. I think you have such intelligent things to say about that. You have so much knowledge on protein and the amount of protein we really need, especially to lose fat and spare muscle. But you just got a new toy for all of this stay home quarantine. Gyms are closed.
Yeah.
You talk about this.
Yeah. So I got my quarantine hat on because this hair is getting unruly.
Before we move on, I need a haircut so bad. And I was watching a video last night, and you have the phone and you're looking and you're like, sorry guys, I just got this stupid haircut. And I looked in my rearview mirror and I just went, oh, it's like the same haircut.
You know how you get a haircut and right when you get it, you don't like it the first day. And then you're like, it's good. Day 2, it's fine. Day 1, you're like, oh, something does not seem right.
Yeah.
But right now, any haircut would be, because this is getting just madness. I've done a couple of podcasts this week, and I'm like, this hat's been coming with me everywhere.
Necessary. I cut my own hair, and I've started learning. Instead of putting it on the 2 for the sides, put it on a 3, and that helps out keep my hair a little longer. So I have that second day haircut feel pretty quick. I cut my own hair with scissors for about 10 years, so I could do it. I don't have any excuse. I could go in the bathroom and get it done. We could change this whole interview. We could just get our.
Let me give a tutorial on how I cut my hair by myself, because I did it throughout college and throughout dental school. I just always cut my own hair.
Yeah.
The back part with scissors is absolutely the trickiest part, but
you get the mirror, you hold it on your foot.
There's some tricks to that, yeah. But anyways, because of the quarantine, I'm a gym. People will just call me like a gym rat. I love going to the gym. It used to be for just pure vanity reasons because I wanted to get in shape and I was an overweight kid. But now it has become more like a mental health thing than anything because. Mm-hmm. It's just something I enjoy doing. I look forward to it, and it makes me feel good. And my gym, like I think probably everyone else's gym in the world, has been closed now for a month. And so about 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'm willing to take 2 weeks off. That's fine.
Yeah.
Even though I probably hadn't taken more than 2 weeks off any time in the last 20 years. Yeah. At least 1 week is probably the most I've taken off in the last 20 years.
Oh man, every time I vacation, I might do body weight squats and push-ups here and there, which is
It's funny is when I go on vacation, usually they have a hotel gym or some kind of gym, and I'm always hitting it up. Something different. I'm like, I'm gonna go get a gym before we just.
I drink too much on vacations, and I wake up and I'm like, I just go for a walk.
Yeah. Hey, that's better than nothing. But
yeah, right.
But yeah, so with the quarantine, I was like, look, I need something. I have a small 2-bedroom house. Don't have room to go buy like a full, home gym. With, full squat rack and, benches and bars and dumbbells. And, I just don't have room for that. And it's quite a costly investment as well.
Yeah.
So I was doing my research and I'd heard of this X3 system because the founder, he'd actually friended me on Facebook a long time ago. And I remember it stuck out to me because I looked him up and I saw this X3 system. And so it dawned on me now because I was going to research, like, what are my options? And, I thought about kettlebells. I thought about resistance bands. So, I did research. I looked into other resistance bands, like what are my options? And I came across, and I, dove in deeper with this X3, which is basically, bands with a bar, a plate that you stand on, and you can use just these 3 things and do a lot of. You could have much, huge amounts of variable resistance. So, you can do bicep curls, you can do bench press, you can do squats, you can do deadlifts, and it takes up no room. I can do it in my little space I have.
Yeah, you can travel with this thing.
You can travel with it. I've used it now for a few days, and I've gotten very sore. I've gotten very good workouts. So yeah, I'm liking it a lot. A lot of people are asking me like, "Oh, are you going to, replace the gym with it?" And no, look, I'm not going to just replace the gym with it. I'll actually probably use it though and supplement my gym workouts with this.
Yeah,
because there's certain movements I'm loving more than what I do at the gym. The overhead presses, I am absolutely love. So I've had shoulder issue with my left shoulder. I've lifted like not intelligently when I was younger, and it was all about how much weight can I get on the bar, et cetera, et cetera. So not always the best form. And this left shoulder has paid the price to this day. And so when I do overhead presses in the gym, I usually do real light weight and really watch my form closely, and usually not even go to failure without some joint issues. But I was doing this with some good resistance. I felt good, like because it's much easier on the joints. Because with the elastic band, you have a dynamic strength curve, meaning where you're weakest, the band is the least taut, so there's the least amount of resistance. And as you go higher up, the tension gets higher and higher and higher, but you're in stronger and stronger position. So you got this dynamic strength curve, which I like, and it's helpful on the joint. And so there's some exercises I'm really liking on it, especially the overhead press. The chest press is all right. I think I probably just need to work on the form on that a little bit more. I've done some hamstring deadlifts, some split squats on it. So it's I'm liking it so far.
Is part of is like the whole protocol, because I remember I've heard Dr. Jackish, yeah. Jackish. I've heard him on several podcasts, and if I'm not mistaken, part of the protocol is as you start tiring down after 20 or so reps, you shorten the reps. So are you shortening it on the farthest or the closest?
So what will happen is, let's just talk about the overhead press. So you're doing the overhead press, right? And let's say I'm on rep 10, and now I'm only getting to here. So you keep going to here. And basically, you just keep going, trying to pump out full reps until you can't pump out any more reps.
Yeah.
It's similar to doing like a drop set in the gym, where if you're doing tricep push downs and you go to failure and you drop the weight and you do more push downs, you drop the weight, do more push downs. Now in that scenario, you're still going through the full range of motion. Mm-hmm. So this one is like more similar to doing like partial reps.
Okay.
So it'll be we're this weakest part. So you'll be doing the weakest part.
So I've experimented some in my basement. I have a home gym, just everything I need. I've literally accrued it over like 15 years. So I have done that with bench, but on the farthest. So if it was a press, it'd be the wrong arm. It'd be, come down, and then I start coming down shorter. So I've done that and extended it out that way, and that's done tremendous things. So I can't even imagine hitting that weaker range of motion. Holy cow.
Yeah, there's a lot of good strategies of like pure, like you want a deep exhaustion of the muscle. Like for example, one of the things I love that I think probably helped develop my biceps as much as anything are these things called 21s. Have you heard of 21s before?
Oh, is it like you just work down every number?
So it's basically like doing 3 sets of 7. And so
You have massive arms, by the way. Like you can't be more than $170, are you?
I'm like 170.
Yeah, and your arms have to be 20 pounds of that minimum, like just your back. So.
Well, this exercise I'm telling you is like I think one of the most things that help the most is, so it's like doing 7 full range of motion reps, and then after 7 you do just the top range of the motion.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if I'm in the camera. 7 here, and then you do just 7 on the bottom range of the motion, and you could switch those. So you can do 7 full, then 7 on the bottom, then 7 on the top, 7 on the top. I mean, you could change the order, and I would change the order, but it's taxing certain parts of the muscle more than others at various times to kind of just get complete exhaustion. Because one of the things John Jakish mentions, he recommends 1 set to complete failure, and I think theoretically that is a great idea, but I think in practice, at least me, it's very difficult to do 1 set all out where you just totally crush the muscle and then you're done.
It takes
so
a lot.
That's why I'm more likely to do 5 sets, and one of those sets is kind of like a warm up. 2 or 3 of them are going near failure, and then 1 really crushes it.
Yeah,
and that's how I feel like I get the best.
And you can see Dr. Jakish is not a small guy, and he has not always been that size, though.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
When you so here's the thing, you listen to someone you want to look like. I don't want to look like him. I do want to look like you. So right, so that you always follow the people you want to be built like, you want to eat like, those kind of things.
Yeah, and I don't know much about his past, but it's like a lot of people that like, oh, I don't want to, people are using, basically it comes back to like people that use anabolics versus non-anabolics, like. And it's like, if someone's natural and they want to look unnatural, well, you need to be talking to that unnatural person, because I can give you the best advice in the world from natural bodybuilding perspective, but it's not going to get you to an unnatural perspective. But like you're saying, getting advice from people that have done what you want to do and look or do what kind of walk the walk, talk the talk kind of thing.
I have people tell me all the time, oh, man, I don't want to bulk up. I don't want to be bulky. And I'm telling them like what I do, and I'm like, do I look bulky? Like, is that something I'm unaware of myself? And they're like, no, you're not bulky. You just look like a fit guy. And I'm like, this is what I do.
Yeah. I remember, because people would tell me that too, especially a lot of times females definitely don't want to get bulky. I'm like, look, I've been working out for 20 years trying to get bulky, and this is all I got. You got nothing to worry about right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, once you start getting a little bit bulky, just back it off a little bit. But let me know when that happens.
So if I do nothing but flat bench, or if I do nothing but push-ups, I get really, like, the bottom of my pec gets really far out and nothing else does. So I have a really hard time building the upper. So guess what I don't do a lot of is push-ups. Yeah. I do a lot of like shoulder presses or incline push-ups. Or incline like pikes, stuff like that, because I don't like whenever I'm built that way. It looks odd.
It's one of the interesting things about bodybuilding, and it's one of the reasons I like it, is this art and science. It's kind of the meshing. But if you want to be like a good bodybuilder, like the idea is you spend most of the time doing the things that you're not good at. Like for me, my chest developed much, I'll say, better, bigger than other muscle groups, like my shoulders. And so I spend most of my time doing, I do more shoulder work than arm, than chest, than almost anything, because I want bigger shoulders, and my shoulders are my lacking body part. Yeah. So bodybuilding is one of those things where it's like, you got to spend more time. If you want to do well, you got to spend more time doing the things that you're not good at.
Yeah, that's cool. And you have, I did see on your YouTube channel the other day, you do have a video of you going through old pictures from when you were younger. Where you were 220, man. You had a belly on you.
So I bulked up. Yeah, that picture right there. Yeah, I bulked up, and that was in dental school. So I mean, not super long ago, but because I recognize my bathroom in dental school. Yeah, and it's one of those, and people do it because it works, and that is bulk and cut. and I took them both kind of to an extreme. But it was my goal to see how big I could get, and it was over 9 or 12 months where I consistently ate more and more and more and more, and I look super fat there, and I was quite fat.
I was 220 at one point, and
220, and I'm 5'11", so I was carrying a lot of weight. And I was able to lose that fat pretty quick. Like it was 12 weeks from that one picture to the other picture. So
was that using carnivore as well, a carnivore approach?
It was not carnivore. I was not carnivore until after dental school.
Yeah.
But I ate meat, and my cutting approach. I talk a lot about this in a bunch of videos, but my cutting approach was very similar to, kind of what I would do with carnivore. With some, tinkering. Now I would do fat cycling with the carnivore. Mm-hmm. Then I did carb cycling, which basically means I'd be like no carb for like no or low carb for like 3 days. Then I'd have a high carb day, no low carb day, and high carb. Well, I would do that now if I was trying to cut with a carnivore diet. I would just use fat as that cycling variable. That's
very similar to what I do too. Yeah. So it just feels better. I feel better with a lot of protein and kind of leaner. And then some days I'm like, I got to have fat, and I'll just pull lamb fat out of the freezer for like 2-3 days. And then boom, I go back to lean meats for like 4 days.
That's kind of exactly what I do. And that's how I maintain a body composition that I'm happy with basically year round.
Yeah.
If I eat just fatty meat, I feel great and I actually don't look bad. I'll probably be around 12-15% body fat, which is fine. It's not unhealthy. It's probably where my body wants to be. But it's a little bit more than I want to carry around on a daily basis. And I find if I use the strategy like that, I stay probably closer to 10% or less.
If I stick with just fatty meat, I actually feel like I don't get as satiated after 4 or 5 days, or maybe a week or two. I'm not as satiated from the same amount, but I can't eat anymore because I'm done. Like my body had enough. So I think I have a higher protein requirement than I expect to have, which is odd. Because I eat a lot of protein, so
I'm like you. I eat a lot of protein. So,
so if you're up for it, I definitely want to have you back another time to talk carnivore and fat cycling, because I've had the fat cycling question multiple times from a few friends and fellow health coaches. So that'd be really cool. Before we jump off here, I want to show off your websites, man, because you have kevinstock.io is your personal site that. If you want anything from Kevin, this is the place to look. He has a VIP access, which is where you can access his music videos. How do they sign up for that? Is it just through the VIP access here?
The easiest thing to do is if you just send it for the newsletter, and then I send everything, all the free, because I got a bunch of nutrition PDFs, ebooks, VIP access stuff. Yeah. So if someone just signs up to the newsletter, they get all of it.
Yeah, and it's 100% worth it. The newsletter is quick. It has 7 points on it, and it's just terrific. You have tons of free guides. I have utilized all of those. I've recommended people to go there. The website that I feel like should get you a sit down with the president, man, meet.health. Honest to goodness, if just 20% of our country took this on, if 5% of our country took this on and just followed your website, I bet our cost for healthcare would drop $100 million minimum. Maybe $1 trillion. I don't know. It's up there.
And it's not that complicated. It's like if we just, if we replace the bottom of that food pyramid with, like animal-based real food, and then you can put a little bit of stuff on top of that if you want or whatnot. But if you got the baseline down, if you got the foundation down,
I'm a big fan of Sisson's old food pyramid, where it used to be meat on the bottom and then vegetables, and he flip-flopped it, but I think he's going to flip-flop that again.
Oh, he flip-flopped it. I didn't know that.
Hey, he pivots, so, but it used to be meat on the base, and now he's got it flopped around, but he's moving more towards the carnivore approach, I believe.
Yeah, and I've seen some recent stuff with him and some carnivore friends of mine. He's talked out with Dr. Baker.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is an invention of yours, which if you have a snoring problem, guys, the biggest thing you can do is lose weight. But in the time waiting for that, if other devices aren't working for you, check this out, because it's just really neat that you have designed and built this to help people with their snoring.
Yeah, so I designed this out of something I was trying to. It's a long story. I just make very short because I know we're running out of time. But when I was treating, sleep disordered breathing, which is everything from snoring to severe obstructive sleep apnea, dentist with advanced training can treat it with this. Basically, it's like a mouthpiece that will hold the jaw in a slightly forward position that opens up the airway. And it works great for a certain percentage of people. And there's a certain percentage of people where, let's say you had severe sleep apnea, and I gave you a mouth device, and now you've got you down to mild. Well, we made good progress, but no one wants to. You don't want mild sleep apnea. You want no sleep apnea, right? Yeah. So I developed this device to be used in conjunction with it to help further treat sleep apnea. And it turns out it works quite great on its own to treat snoring. Hopefully we're moving down the steps to get FDA approved for sleep apnea, for like mild sleep apnea on its own, which I think it'll work just great doing as well. But yeah, we're still working on getting that FDA approval.
I'll have to talk to you offline if this is something that I could use in the doctor's office I work for. We're not a sleep office, we're nothing like that, but if that's something that how we would know if somebody could benefit from that versus other options. So we'll have to talk offline about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your book, you wrote a book, and this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is essentially what we talked about today, is it not? About building your life.
Well, so the book is, it's a novella. It's a story. It's not like it's not like it would go under the fiction category, not the nonfiction.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a story that I had in me one day, and I just sat down and I wrote it, and I was never going to publish it or anything like that. But then something came over me, and I published it. So
that's great, man. That's cool. And so those are your sites. I'm pretty sure I have all of these in the notes under this live. So I don't want to take up any more of your time, any more of everybody else's time. Is there anything you want to leave everybody with for this?
No, this has been great, man. I've really enjoyed the conversation because normally I've been on a lot of podcasts and all we talk about is health, which is great because I'm very passionate about health. But it's great to cover these other things that that I'm most passionate about. Like I'm doing all this because to prove myself I can live that life that I designed, and talking about that I think is something I'm really passionate about. So I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully some people found this helpful or interesting or something.
I hope so, yeah. And I'm the same way. I have passions, right? So right now I have like 12 gallons of mead brewing in the basement because I like fermenting, but I don't eat a lot of vegetables anymore because they don't deal well with me. I still like alcohol, and I don't drink a ton, but I like to make it and I like to drink it. And so I try things, and I've messed up on it in the past. This is like a past passion that has come back. And this time it actually tastes good. So I'm pretty excited.
There you go.
Yeah. And I'm making like 5% like beer amount of alcohol in a mead, and I'm carbonating it. So it's like a day away from being done and carbonated. And I'm so excited to pop one open and try one for my wife and I, our anniversary on Saturday. So stoked.
Congratulations. What year?
10.
Oh, that's a big one.
We're supposed to be in Portugal right now. Not talking to you, but in Portugal.
I'm sorry, to be the backup plan. Yeah.
What a good blessing though, right? Stuff like this happens and I decide to start interviewing people. So
yeah, hey, that's awesome. But congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thanks. And we're gonna jump off, stick around, and this definitely went longer than expected, but I'm grateful. It flew by. I really enjoyed talking to you. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Anybody who listens to this when I turn it into a podcast, whatever else might happen to this thing, really grateful for you guys to listen. Have a great day.